hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you'll be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, at optimistic.tv, we have officially begun releasing the first few episodes of our new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video variety talk show, Optimistic, which features live visionary art, soul share interviews, retreat guests here at the Mystic Manor, as well as live musical performances. I'm also super excited to announce that we are currently making plans to release the rest of Season 1 on my personal favorite online streaming service. So stay tuned to optimistic.tv to follow the unfolding development of this exciting Optimistic expansion, as we'll be posting more info and release dates there soon. And in the meantime, be sure to check out, of course, the first few episodes at optimistic.tv as well. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. It is a magical Monday here in the studio as I record, and I am glad to be back with you. As you could imagine, you knew I'd say that. How are you holding up out there? How is your heart? Is it opened? Is it closed? Are you feeling racked with fear and being cynical or judgmental or closed off? Man, isn't that easy to fall into? I know for me, surprisingly, I will still catch myself relatively regularly being a little bit cynical and a little bit judgmental. And I think, part of it, I've tried to sort through it with myself. And I really love over-the-top jokes and silliness. And, and sometimes I got to be really careful that doesn't turn into being too cynical or making a joke that would actually hurt the person's feelings if they could hear it. And I think that's a really good gauge of, how to determine whether or not something is appropriate. Would you want someone hearing what you're saying? And how is it coming off? And what is your intention behind it? And so I think that is something that I've really been checking myself on lately because, I find my favorite way to get through this life is to make fun of it. And I just got to be careful that it doesn't go too far and I should actually restate that, not to get through it, but to create it in a way that, brings levity. And I think that's really, really important. Obviously, we talk about it all the time. Unless you be like a child, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven, right? And so being playful, being fun, being funny, but not at the expense of someone else. I think that's really, really important to remember. And something I've been focused on lately. So just thought I would share. And another thing that popped up for me recently, I checked out an episode of the show on Gaia called Initiation. And it's a young guy, Matthias De Stefano. Matthias, I believe. Matthias De Stefano. I think I got that right. He was, I'd seen something about him a few years ago. I believe it's the same guy indigo child who had full recollection of all his lifetime, supposedly. And Gaia made a show. And it's him talking about how things are structured and so forth and so on. And interesting from what I've seen so far. And so one of the things in the episode that I did check out, I haven't checked out a ton of it, not even that full episode, but he brought up this idea of how so many people talk about the fact that we live in the matrix and this sort of cage, this prison that we are in, right? And you hear a lot of talk about, the matrix. And he said something that I've often thought about and even talked about at some point is hey, this is actually, the whole thing is by design. So looking at it, any sort of negative slant or view of 3D reality as a prison, you got to, I think you need to really be careful with that because what are you creating? You're telling a story of, imprisonment. And alternatively, are we living in the Matrix, or are we living in the dream? Are we living in a dream that was self-created? You can't have a dream, you can't have an adventure, you can't have a hero's journey tale without there being something to overcome and old systems to break down and the boss at the end of the level to defeat and rise above and overcome. And so I think it's really, really important when you ask yourself and look at yourself, are you living in the Matrix, or are you living in a dream? And as for me, I'm living in a dream. I'm living in a dream, not a nightmare, right? And yes, there are challenge points. Yes, there are, things to overcome. And is it this permanent imprisonment? I don't think so. I believe it's something that any sort of limitations that have been put upon us are self-imposed if you trace them all the way back to their roots. That's the key thing. So people get so hung up, this conspiracy theory rabbit hole. And I'm not saying some of the stuff isn't true. I'm not saying, there's some really dark things that have happened. If you trace it back to the roots, these are souls that are playing a role that they signed up for at your behest. And I think that's really, really important to think about as you are analyzing the nature of the situation in which you find yourself. So, are we living in the Matrix? Are we living in a dream? I don't know about you. I think I do know about you. You're living in a dream. You're here with me. That's why we're talking. That's why we're connecting in this little podcast that out of all the millions and trillions and billions, quazillions of things vying for your energy and attention, you are focused and listening to this right now because it is such a close vibrational match that it is showing up in your movie, in your dream, right? So congratulations. Let's start telling the story of living in a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 life is but a dream. And I actually saw, it's funny because a couple things that have popped up for me lately is a lot of wolf stuff in the last few days. I also, right before this, saw from The Matrix, Morpheus holding 2 red pills, one in each hand. And he said, I only have the red pill on the meme. I loved that right when I was going to talk about this topic. And the wolf thing that's been popping up, I've been seeing that quite a bit. Just lots of wolf references, there's little threads of connectivity and synchronicity. And so having this conversation made me think of the 2 wolves story, which I'm sure many of you have seen or heard about before. There's actually a podcast called The One You Feed that I was on, or the host was on this show many years ago, early on. And it's, based off of the premise of The One You Feed. And for those of you who don't know, I'll read a little excerpt on it. It says, one evening, an old Cherokee told his grandson about a battle that goes on inside people. He said, my son, the battle is between 2 wolves inside us all. One is evil. It is anger, envy, jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The grandson thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather, which wolf wins? The old Cherokee simply replied, the one you feed. And that's supposedly a Native American Cherokee, story there that just really says it all with this. Like, are you feeding the story of living in the Matrix, imprisoned, and all the dark forces are imposing their will on us? Are you telling the story of this is a dream, and anything that is quote unquote dark is actually there by design? Duality is necessary in this dimension. And for that, you're grateful. And you're grateful for knowing in your back pocket, you have the thing that is ultimately will always win. The thing that triumphs always in the end. If you haven't won, the story isn't over. If you are architecting and moving through your reality with love as the premise. So if you are acting with love and an open heart and well-intended, you can't lose. You may temporarily lose, which is actually a learning, right? You either win or you learn. And so that is, something that you can sort of have that. I have a little Buddha statue, or I don't know if it's Buddha or just like a meditating, Buddhist kind of thing. And he's got a little smirk. The guy has a little smirk when he's deep in meditation. And I always think of that little smirk. It's like he knows that you can't lose when you are operating and connected to source and connected to the infinite love that is the reason for all of the stuff, all of the things, all of the shadow, all of the darkness. It's all there for love. And when you fully realize that, you fully tune into that, you fully are embodying that, you just move with faith and trust. You're trusting the mystery. You're there. You're learning to surrender to the process of your life, the waves that are going to continue to, wash over us. And I believe with the upheaval on the planet that's happening now, it's more important than ever that you go within. You find that smirk. You become the calm in the eye of the storm that understands everything that's happening, everything that's transpiring. The coronavirus, the early pangs of our old system dying and collapsing, and all of these things. It's necessary for something to pass away in order for something new to be born. And so, trusting the process and finding your center. Going back to your center, and when you find your center, you can just with wisdom approach everything that comes your way, and with an open heart and open mind, and just smirk at the beauty of the dream that you find yourself in. Nothing can hold you back. No cell, no matrix, no Illuminati, no any of that stuff can hold you back. Can hold back the power of love. Right? That is the ultimate power of the universe. And when you're tapped into that, you're tapped into source at its purest. The reason for all the other things is so that love can experience itself, right? That is the underlying truth behind it all, is love. And when you're tapped into that, you're tapped into the rudimentary root power of everything. And with that, you got it all. You can't lose. You may pretend to lose. You may look like you lost a battle, but really even then, it's just teaching you what you need so you can get up and, like the Chinese proverb, fall down 7 times, stand up 8, right? Don't give up in all of these uncertain times. This is when your faith is needed the most. With that being said, I have a song for you guys today. The song is by Rob Ricardo, who I played recently on a forthcoming episode of Optimistic. The song is called, what do you know? Witch Wolf. Hope you enjoy. Until next time, journey well. Love you all so, so much. And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat-style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.
In the calmer part of me, there's kindness, peace, and clarity. It's where I know my soul and trust my dreams. There's another side, full of lust and full of lies. Lives in fear and bites back every time. And lately what I found is mind to mind's a battleground for a couple beasts that have to duke it out. Some days the bright side wins and shines a light of happiness, but other days the darkness takes control. So which wolf will you feed in the woods of this society? They're always on the move. I end up your hungry, fighting for your chase away the negative. The good wolf is stronger than the big bad beast of emptiness. Fed a slab of love, self-respect. So which wolf will you feed in the woods of this society? They're always on the move. I end up your food. More wolves are so hungry, fighting for your reality. So which one will you choose when they're howling at the moon? Whoa, howling at the moon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feed the wolf for greatness. I feed the wolf for light. I feed the wolf for truth and positivity tonight.